the national popular vote and here in Pennsylvania. So he does have the ability as president to at least begin to cause chaos. But just because he's in the Oval Office doesn't mean we're suddenly without agency. By we, I mean members of Congress who are on the Democratic side, but also we, the American people. So we are going to pursue an appropriation strategy, which I think we'll be talking about more in the days ahead. Number two, we will have a litigation strategy in order to unravel this. And then the third thing is working with the American people. And I look back at exactly this moment 8 years ago when Republicans last had a trifecta. House, Senate, and White House were all Republican held. Everyone assumed the Affordable Care Act was done for, that Obamacare would be repealed, tens of millions of people would lose their health care. What happened? You saw a national outcry. You saw poll number after poll number show that Obamacare was popular and that Republicans who voted to repeal it would be held responsible. And so by the time they actually held the vote, enough Republican members of the Senate voted no, famously thumbs down, and the Affordable Care Act was saved. We might be seeing a little bit of that history being replayed just today. There has been such an outcry by the American people, including many of whom who don't pay attention to the day in and day out actions in D.C. There's been such an outcry specific to Medicaid that
Right.
now I'm getting wind that the White House is actually backing down. They won't admit they were wrong, but they would say, oh, they're going to clarify that the freeze, what they call a temporary freeze, does not apply to Medicaid. And they're supposed to be this evening actually issuing further guidance. So that way, those online portals that have been shut down today, including here in Pennsylvania, so that they'll be back open. So uh, public sentiment is everything, as Abraham Lincoln once said. Making sure that people are informed about what's going on and speaking out, that can actually produce results.
So I just want to clarify what we're seeing as it relates to Medicaid, given the fact that we're not able to access these portals, these federal portals from across the country. Were we looking at a scenario until Trump decides to reverse course where he has unilaterally stopped Medicaid from functioning in the U.S.?
It appears so. I mean, the reason why I'm hesitating is this is so confused and murky, and also because of the way Medicaid is administered, it's on a state by state basis. But right now, at this moment, no one in Pennsylvania has been able to access the Medicaid portal. So that essentially would effectively shut it down at this moment.
What about the further implications as it relates to him blocking the Office of Management and Budget from distributing grant funding? What does that mean for cancer research? What does this mean for farm subsidies?
You know, what he wants to do and what Russ Vought, who most Americans have never heard of Russ Vought, he's an incredibly important, dangerous figure for someone that most people have never heard of. He was the former OMB director. He will likely be the next OMB director. He is one of the principal authors of Trump's Project 2025. He has actually put pen to paper and laid out this entirely authoritarian vision of a presidency that renders Congress moot, that is completely unchecked by the courts. This is frankly more of what I expect. A presidency that has more power than at any point in American history, that completely upends the normal constitutional system of checks and balances. And I think, frankly, those of us serving in Congress, but again, we as the American people need to continue to speak out and be active because I think the next several weeks and months and years are going to be more and more extreme unconstitutional actions like the one that we've seen in the last 24 hours.
What do you say to folks who look at a lot of the warnings that were put forward about Project 2025, about consolidating power in the executive branch, about the fact that Russ Vogt does himself believe that Trump can impound funds that were allocated already by Congress, which is a co-equal branch of government and has the authority unto themselves to be able to allocate these funds? What does it say more broadly about the warnings that were put forward about Donald Trump's authoritarian nature and people like Russ Vogt who kind of want to lend themselves to exactly that idea?
I mean, I'm here in Philadelphia, which is where I'm born and raised, and have the honor to represent in Congress. I'm in the biggest city of the biggest battleground state in the country, and every single day I was doing my best to warn people about how dangerous it would be to put Donald Trump back in the White House. But even despite our best efforts, I don't think it's a coincidence that this was the first year since 2000 or since 1905 in which literally every single party in power lost at the ballot box nationwide, I mean worldwide. The reality is the inflation crisis, um, the inflation spike that obviously resulted as a result of the pandemic and turning the economy back on, that had a powerful impact on people. And because of increased costs, in some places dramatically increased costs, people were in a throw the incumbents out sort of mood. And we are unfortunately now dealing with the ramifications of that vote.
Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time today, and thank you for the work that you'll be doing in ground zero there, which is the budget committee. So I appreciate you taking the time.
All right, thank you.